For trapped soldiers versus 40 Germans, the impossible World War II stand they never told you about. December 3, 1944. 0437 hours. Hürtgen Forest, Germany. Staff Sergeant Danny Reeves heard the click before he saw the wire. His boot was already pressing down on the German shoe mine trigger. 0.5 seconds until detonation. 0.5 seconds to live. Behind him, 12 men from Easy Company's 2nd Platoon froze mid-step. The forest went silent. No birds. No wind. Just the sound of Reeves breathing and the mechanical tick of the mine's arming mechanism counting down his final heartbeats. Corporal Mike Chen whispered from 3 feet back. "Don't move, Sarge." Reeves didn't move. Couldn't move. His entire body weight was balanced on that one boot, pressing down on a pressure plate connected to enough explosive to blow his leg off at the hip and send shrapnel through every man within 15 feet. The mission was supposed to be simple. Recon patrol. Locate German positions along the Siegfried Line. Report back before dawn. No engagement. No contact. But nothing in Hürtgen was ever simple. Private First Class Tommy Bradford, the youngest man in the squad at 19 years old, stood directly behind Reeves. His rifle was shaking. Not from cold. From fear. The kind of fear that made men break and run, triggering every mine in the forest. "Tommy," Reeves said quietly. "Look at me." Bradford's eyes locked onto Reeves. "You're gonna be fine. We all are. Just don't move." The engineer who wasn't there. They needed Sergeant Lou Hartman. The company engineer. The only man trained to disarm German mines in complete darkness without triggering secondary charges. Problem was, Hartman had caught shrapnel 2 days ago. He was bleeding out in a field hospital 20 miles behind the line while Reeves stood on his grave. Chen crept forward. Slow. Controlled. Every step placed exactly where Reeves had stepped before hitting the mine. He knelt beside Reeves' boot, pulled out a flashlight, shielded it with his hand, and examined the pressure plate. "Shoe mine 42, Chen whispered. "Wooden casing. Minimal metal content. That's why the detectors didn't pick it up." "Can you disarm it?" Reeves asked. Chen had been a locksmith in San Francisco before the war. Delicate fingers. Steady hands. But mines weren't locks, and mistakes didn't just mean starting over. "I can try." "That's not what I asked." Chen looked up at Reeves. Honest eyes. "No bullshit." "I don't know, Danny. Hartman showed me the basics, but I've never done this for real." Reeves felt sweat running down his spine despite the freezing temperature. His leg was starting to shake from holding position. If he shifted weight, the mine would detonate. If Chen made one wrong move, they'd both die. Behind them, the rest of the squad waited in the dark. 12 men who trusted Reeves to get them home. 12 men whose mothers and wives and children would never forgive him if he got them killed on a routine patrol. The sound that changed everything. That's when they heard it. German voices. Close. Maybe 50 yards to the north. The patrol had walked straight into a trap. The mine wasn't random. It was bait. The Germans knew American patrols came through this sector. They'd seeded the forest with mines, waited in the dark, and now they were moving in to finish what the explosives started. Reeves made his decision in 2 seconds. "Chen, get the squad back to the rally point. Move quiet. Move fast. I'm not leaving you here." "That's an order, Corporal." Chen's jaw tightened. "You'll die." "Maybe. But if the Germans hit us here, we all die. Get them out." The German voices were getting louder. Reeves could hear boots crunching through frozen leaves. At least a squad. Maybe a full platoon. They were sweeping the area methodically, searching for the Americans they knew were close. Chen stood slowly. Looked at Bradford. Looked at the rest of the squad. Pull back, he whispered. Rally point. Now. Bradford didn't move. We can't leave him. Move, Private. That's a direct order. Alone in the dark. The squad melted into the forest. Reeves listened to them go. Listened to their footsteps fade into the distance. Listened to the Germans getting closer. He was alone now. One man. One mine. One chance. His leg was burning. Muscles screaming from holding position. He'd been standing on the pressure plate for 4 minutes. Maybe 5. He was losing track of time. Losing feeling in his foot. The Germans were close enough now that Reeves could hear individual words. He didn't speak German, but he recognized the tone. Confident. Relaxed. They thought they had the Americans pinned. They were right. Reeves reached down slowly. Felt for the pressure plate under his boot. If he could find the release mechanism, if he could figure out how the mine was constructed, maybe he could disarm it himself. His fingers touched cold metal. The trigger housing. He traced it carefully, feeling for wires, connections, anything that might tell him how to survive the next 60 seconds. That's when he felt the second wire. The revelation. The mine wasn't just pressure triggered. It was also connected to a tripwire system running through the trees around him. Even if he somehow got off the pressure plate without detonating, moving in any direction would trigger the secondary charges. He was standing in a kill box. A carefully constructed death trap designed to take out entire squads. The Germans had been here. They'd planned this. They'd watched American patrols for weeks, learned their patterns, identified their routes, and turned this section of forest into a graveyard. Reeves looked up at the dark trees around him. Somewhere out there, his squad was running. Somewhere behind him, the rally point waited. Somewhere ahead, the German line stretched for miles. He was trapped between all of it. The German voices stopped. Silence fell over the forest. Reeves held his breath. Then he heard the distinctive metallic click of a rifle bolt being pulled back. Once. Twice. 3 times. The Germans had found him. The impossible choice. A flashlight beam cut through the darkness. Hit Reeves directly in the face. Blinded him. German voices shouted commands. Reeves didn't need to speak the language to understand. They were telling him to surrender. To raise his hands. To step away from his weapon. But Reeves couldn't move. Couldn't raise his hands. Couldn't step anywhere. If he lifted his boot from the pressure plate, the mine would detonate. The explosion would kill him instantly, but it would also kill every German soldier within the blast radius. The Germans didn't know about the mine. They thought he was just another American soldier frozen with fear. They were walking closer, weapons raised, shouting louder. Reeves had 3 seconds to decide. Surrender and spend the rest of the war in a POW camp while his squad escaped. Or lift his boot, trigger the mine, and take as many Germans with him as possible. 3 seconds. 2 seconds. The German sergeant stepped forward, rifle aimed at Reeves' head. 1 second. Reeves smiled. Guten Morgen, he said. Then he lifted his boot. For 1 impossible second, Reeves stood there, waiting for death. The German sergeant was 5 feet away, rifle aimed center mass, flashlight beam burning into Reeves' eyes. Nothing happened. The mine was a dud. A German Schuhmine 42 that had sat in the frozen Hurtgen soil for weeks, moisture seeping into the trigger mechanism, corrosion eating through the detonator wire. 1 chance in 1,000. 1 malfunction in a forest full of working mines. Reeves didn't waste the miracle. He dove left, rolled behind a massive oak tree, and came up with his M1 Garand already firing. 3 shots. Center mass. The German sergeant went down hard, his flashlight spinning through the air, casting wild shadows across the forest. The other Germans opened fire immediately. Muzzle flashes lit up the darkness like lightning. Bullets tore through trees, kicked up frozen earth, whined past Reeves' head so close he felt the air displacement. He fired back. Methodical. Controlled. The way they'd trained him at Fort Benning. Pick your target. Acquire sight picture. Squeeze trigger. Don't pull. Never pull. Another German went down. Then another. But there were too many. Reeves counted at least 8 muzzle flashes. Maybe 10. A full German squad, and he was alone with 1 rifle and 2 spare clips. He had to move. The forest becomes a weapon. Reeves ran. Not away from the Germans. Toward them. It violated every instinct, every tactical principle they'd beaten into him during training. When outnumbered, fall back. When surrounded, retreat. When facing superior forces, withdraw and regroup. But Reeves knew something the training manuals didn't account for. The Germans had mined this entire sector. They knew where the safe paths were, where the tripwires ran, where the pressure plates waited. They were moving confidently through the forest because they'd built this death trap themselves. Reeves was going to use that against them. He sprinted directly at the German position, counting steps in his head. 5 yards. The distance between their firing line and the next row of trees. He'd watched them advance earlier, seen how they'd moved in a careful line, stepping over something invisible in the darkness. Tripwires. Reeves hit the ground and rolled just as German bullets chewed through the space where his chest had been. He came up running, angled hard left, jumped over a root system he prayed wasn't hiding a mine. Behind him, a German soldier pursued. Young. Eager. Stupid. The kid didn't see the tripwire. The explosion was massive. A Teller mine, designed to destroy tanks. It lifted the German soldier into the air, tore him apart, and sent shrapnel screaming through the forest. 2 other Germans caught the blast. Their screams cut off instantly. The German squad stopped advancing. Smart. They just watched their own minefield kill their men. Now they didn't know which direction was safe. Reeves used the confusion. He circled wide, moving parallel to the German line, using their hesitation against them. Found a position behind a fallen log. Good cover. Clear sight lines. Escape route to his 6. He started shooting. The sergeant who knew too much. The German NCO running the squad wasn't an idiot. He recognized immediately what was happening. The American wasn't running. He was hunting. The German shouted orders. His remaining men, Reeves counted 5 still standing, spread out, took cover, returned disciplined fire. Not panic spraying. Controlled bursts. Fire and maneuver. These weren't fresh recruits. They were veterans. Probably Eastern Front transfers. Men who'd survived Stalingrad or Kursk. Men who knew how to kill efficiently. Reeves was in trouble. He fired 3 more shots, dropped behind the log as return fire shredded the wood above his head. Splinters rained down. He could smell the fresh-cut pine mixing with cordite and blood. His M1 Garand pinged empty. The distinctive sound of the en-bloc clip ejecting echoed through the forest. Might as well have been a dinner bell telling the Germans exactly where he was. He reloaded fast. 8 rounds. Slammed the clip home. Rolled left just as a German grenade landed exactly where he'd been lying. The explosion was close. Too close. Reeves felt the pressure wave slam into his chest, felt shrapnel tear through his jacket, felt his ears go deaf from the overpressure. He came up firing blind. Couldn't hear. Couldn't see properly. Just pointed toward where the Germans had been and pulled the trigger until the Garand pinged empty again. When his vision cleared, 2 Germans were down. 3 still moving. And they were flanking him. The radio that could change everything. Reeves ran again. East this time. Toward where he thought the rally point should be. His ears were ringing so loud he couldn't hear his own footsteps, couldn't hear if the Germans were pursuing. He crashed through underbrush, jumped a frozen stream, nearly broke his ankle on hidden ice. His lungs were burning. His hands were numb. The adrenaline that had kept him moving was starting to fade, replaced by the cold reality of what happened next. He was alone. His squad was gone. The Germans were behind him. And the American lines were 3 miles through enemy-occupied forest. Then he saw it. A body. American uniform. Lying face down in a small clearing. Reeves approached carefully, weapon up, scanning for ambush. The body wasn't from his squad. Different unit patch. Looked like he'd been dead for a couple days. Probably a runner caught during an earlier patrol. But the body still had a radio. Reeves knelt, rolled the corpse over carefully. The radio was a SCR 536 handheld. Handy-talkie. Short range, but maybe enough to reach friendly units if anyone was listening. He pulled it free, checked the battery. Still good. Checked the frequency dial. Set to the battalion command channel. Reeves keyed the transmit button. Any station, this is Easy 22. Requesting immediate support. Over. Static. Any station, this is Easy 22. In contact with enemy forces. Hurtgen Forest, Sector 7. Request fire support. Over. More static. Then a voice. Faint. Distorted. But American. Easy 22, this is Thunder 6. Authenticate Lima Whiskey. Authentication codes. They wanted proof Reeves wasn't a German using a captured radio. Reeves gave the countersign from memory. Whiskey Tango Foxtrot. Authentication confirmed. A pause. Easy 22, Thunder 6. What's your situation? The truth about the ghost line. Reeves was about to answer when he heard it. Movement. Close. Multiple soldiers. Coming from the direction he'd just run from. The Germans had tracked him. He dropped the radio, brought up his rifle, aimed at the tree line where the sound was coming from. 3 figures emerged from the darkness. American uniforms. It was Chen. Bradford. And Private First Class Marcus Williams, the squad's automatic rifleman. Jesus Christ, Sarge, Chen whispered. We thought you were dead. What are you doing here? I ordered you back to Rally Point. Chen grinned. Yeah, well. We discussed it. Voted unanimously to ignore that order. Bradford was pale but determined. We don't leave people behind, Sergeant. That's not who we are. Williams just nodded, his bar already up and scanning the forest behind them. Reeves wanted to be angry. Wanted to chew them out for disobeying direct orders. But the truth was, he'd never been happier to see 3 idiots in his entire life. He picked up the radio. Keyed the transmit button. Thunder 6, Easy 22. I've got 3 men with me. We've engaged a German patrol in Sector 7. Estimate squad size element. They've got this entire area mined. Shoe mines and tellers. We need extraction. Easy 22, negative on extraction. All available units committed to operations north of your position. You're ordered to evade and return to friendly lines. Thunder 6, you don't understand. This isn't just a patrol. The Germans have fortified this sector. It's a prepared defensive position. They've been here for weeks. There. The radio died. Battery finally gave out. Reeves looked at his men. 3 soldiers. 4 rifles. Maybe 60 rounds of ammunition between them. And somewhere behind them, German soldiers who knew this forest better than they did. Rally points compromised, Reeves said. The Germans will hit it next. We need to move parallel to the line. Find another way back. Or, Williams said quietly, we could hit them first. Reeves looked at the private. What are you talking about? That German patrol. They're searching this sector because they think we're running. What if we're not? What if we turn this around? Chen understood immediately. Set an ambush. Use their minefield against them. Make them think we've got a full platoon out here. Bradford shook his head. That's crazy. We're 4 men. Yeah, Williams said. But they don't know that. The plan that shouldn't work. Reeves knew it was insane. 4 men against a German squad in enemy territory. No support. No extraction. No hope of reinforcement. But Williams was right about one thing. The Germans thought they were hunting. Predators chasing prey. What if the prey had teeth? Reeves pulled out his map. Studied it by shielded flashlight. Found their position. Found the German defensive line. Found something else. There, he said, pointing. Kilometer north. That's where the Siegfried Line bunkers start. If the Germans in this forest are connected to those positions, there'll be a communication line. Maybe buried cable. Maybe a runner path. So? Bradford asked. So we find that line. We cut it. And we make the Germans think they've got a major American force operating behind their front. Chen whistled softly. That's not an ambush, Sarge. That's a raid. Yeah, Reeves said. It is. Williams grinned. I'm in. Chen nodded. Hell with it. We're already dead anyway. Might as well make it count. Bradford took a deep breath. 19 years old. Should have been at college somewhere. Instead, he was standing in a frozen German forest, agreeing to attack an enemy force that outnumbered them 3-1. Okay, Bradford said. Let's do it. Reeves looked at his men. 3 soldiers who should have run. Who should have saved themselves. Who'd come back instead. Listen to me, he said. We're not heroes. We're just trying to survive. We hit fast, we hit hard, and we disappear. No stupid chances. No last stands. We create chaos and we get out. Understood? They all nodded. Good, Reeves said. Because I've got one more piece of information I didn't share with Thunder 6. What's that? Chen asked. Before that German sergeant died, I got a look at his map. He had this whole sector marked. Every mine. Every defensive position. Every communication line. Reeves pulled out the blood-stained map he'd grabbed off the dead German. The bastard was carrying our death warrant. Now it's theirs. 0521 hours. 43 minutes until sunrise. Reeves and his 3-man team moved through the Hurtgen forest like ghosts. The German map had changed everything. Every mine was marked. Every safe path was clear. The death trap became a roadmap. They found the communication cable exactly where the map said it would be. Buried 18 inches underground, running north from the forest patrol area straight to the Siegfried Line bunkers. Reeves could see the disturbed earth where German engineers had buried it weeks ago. Williams knelt beside the shallow trench. We cut this, every bunker from here to the main line goes dark. They'll have to send runners. Manual communication only. Which means confusion, Chen added. Response times go from seconds to minutes. Bradford kept watch, his rifle aimed back toward where they'd come from. They'll know something's wrong. They'll come looking. That's what we want, Reeves said. We're not trying to hide anymore. We're trying to make noise. He pulled out his trench knife, started digging. The frozen ground fought back, but Reeves kept at it until he hit the cable. Thick. Heavily insulated. German engineering at its finest. He cut it clean through. Somewhere in the darkness, every telephone in the German defensive network went silent. The sergeant who figured it out. 2 kilometers north, in the concrete shell of a Siegfried Line bunker, Hauptfeldwebel, Master Sergeant, Kurt Voss was drinking coffee when his telephone died mid-conversation. Voss had been on the Eastern Front for 2 years. Wounded at Moscow. Decorated at Kharkov. Transferred to the Western Front when a Russian machine gun bullet had shattered his left hand beyond surgical repair. He might not be able to fire a rifle anymore, but his brain still worked fine. The telephone failure wasn't random. The system was redundant, hardened against artillery damage. The only way it failed completely was if someone cut the main trunk line. Which meant Americans were operating behind the defensive perimeter. Voss grabbed his radio, called the patrol he'd sent into the forest 3 hours ago. No response. He called again. Still nothing. He looked at his second-in-command, Feldwebel, Sergeant, Richter. Young. Competent. Still believed they were going to win the war. The forest patrol isn't responding, Voss said. The telephone line is cut. Someone's out there. Richter checked his watch. Morning patrol is due to depart in 30 minutes. We could send them to investigate. No. We send everyone. Now. Everyone. That's 4 squads. 40 men. If it's just a small American reconnaissance team. If it's just a reconnaissance team, they would have avoided contact and run back to their lines. They wouldn't cut our communications. This is something else. Voss grabbed his gear. One hand might be ruined, but he could still carry a rifle. Could still lead men. Alert all positions. Someone's hunting in our forest. Let's go find out who. The ambush that started everything. Reeves heard them coming 20 minutes later. Lots of them. The disciplined march of trained soldiers moving in formation. Flashlights bobbing through the pre-dawn darkness. They weren't being quiet. They didn't need to be. They had numbers. How many? Williams whispered. Reeves counted the lights. Did the math. At least 40. Maybe more. Bradford's voice shook. We can't fight 40 Germans. We don't have to fight them, Reeves said. We just have to kill enough to make them scared. Chen positioned himself behind a fallen tree, his rifle aimed at the German approach route. Williams set up his bar 20 yards to the left, covering a different angle. Bradford took the right flank. Reeves stayed center. The German map spread out in front of him showed exactly where the Germans would walk. Showed exactly where the mines were. Showed exactly how to turn the German defenses against them. Let them get close, Reeves whispered into the darkness. Wait for my signal. The Germans advanced in a perfect textbook formation. 2-man teams, 5-meter spacing, covering each other's movement. They were checking the communication cable, following it back to where Reeves had cut it. They walked right past the American position. 40 Germans. So close Reeves could hear them breathing. He waited. Waited. The last German soldier passed their position. Reeves fired. The forest erupts. The first bullet took down the German point man. He went down hard, shouting in surprise and pain. Williams opened up with the bar. 20 rounds. Fully automatic. The heavy .30-06 bullets tore through the German formation, dropping 3 men before they could react. Chen fired methodically. Pick a target. Fire. Acquire next target. Fire. 2 Germans down. Bradford was shaking so hard he could barely aim, but he fired anyway. His third shot hit a German sergeant in the chest. The man collapsed, his flashlight spinning across the forest floor. The Germans returned fire immediately. Professional. Organized. Muzzle flashes erupted all along their line. But they were firing at shadows. At muzzle flashes. At ghosts. Reeves pulled a captured German stick grenade from his belt. He'd taken it off the sergeant he'd killed earlier, and threw it toward the German formation. The explosion scattered them. Sent them diving for cover. Right into their own minefield. The first shoe mine detonated when a German private rolled onto it. The explosion was small but devastating. The man's screaming lasted 3 seconds before it stopped. Another German, trying to help his wounded comrade, triggered a tripwire. A teller mine obliterated both of them. The German formation collapsed into chaos. Men shouting. Officers trying to restore order. Wounded soldiers screaming for medics. Move! Reeves shouted. His 3-man team disappeared into the forest like smoke. The sergeant who wouldn't quit. Voss watched 8 of his men die in 90 seconds. 8 trained soldiers. Gone. Killed by what looked like 4, maybe 5 American shooters. But Voss hadn't survived the Eastern Front by panicking. He'd seen worse. Much worse. He grabbed Richter, pulled him behind cover. How many did you see? I don't know. 4 shooters, maybe. It's hard to. Where's their support? Where's their heavy weapons? If they had mortars, they would have used them. If they had a full platoon, they would have tried to hold the position. Richter understood. It's a small team. Hit and run. Exactly. They're trying to make us think they're a larger force. Classic guerrilla tactics. Voss looked at his remaining men. 32 soldiers. Still more than enough. Split into 2 groups. Flank left and right. Drive them toward the Siegfried line. They can't cross our defensive positions. We'll trap them against our own bunkers and finish this. It was a good plan. Tactically sound. Professionally executed. It would have worked against a normal reconnaissance team. But Reeves wasn't normal. And he wasn't done killing. The running battle. For the next 40 minutes, the Hurtgen forest became a nightmare maze of death. Reeves led the Germans deeper into their own defensive network, using the captured map to avoid mines while forcing the Germans to trigger their own defenses. Williams set up ambushes. 3-second bursts from the bar, then gone before return fire arrived. 6 Germans down over 20 minutes. Chen used his locksmith skills to sabotage German equipment. Cut radio antennas. Jammed rifle bolts with debris. Small things that created big confusion. Bradford stopped shaking. Started shooting better. Killed 3 Germans in careful, deliberate shots. The 19-year-old was learning how to survive. But the Germans were learning too. Voss split his force again. Sent 10 men to secure the bunkers. Kept 22 hunting the American team. He was boxing them in, cutting off escape routes, forcing them into a kill zone. Reeves saw it happening. Saw the German net closing. We're out of time, he told his team. Sunrise in 10 minutes. We lose the darkness, we lose our advantage. We're already surrounded, Chen said. There's no way back to American lines. Williams checked his ammunition. I've got maybe 30 rounds left. Bradford didn't speak. Just reloaded his rifle with his last clip. Reeves looked at the German map one more time. Studied the defensive positions. Studied the bunker locations. Then he saw it. The one weakness in the entire Siegfried Line network. A blind spot. A gap in overlapping fields of fire. A place where German engineers had prioritized protection from the west without considering attack from the east. There, Reeves said, pointing. That bunker. We take it, we control the approach. We hold it long enough, our artillery can zero in on it, blow a hole in their line. That's a suicide mission, Chen said flatly. We'd have to assault a fortified position. For men against however many Germans are inside, plus however many are hunting us. You got a better idea? Reeves asked. Nobody answered. All right then. We assault in 5 minutes. The assault on Bunker 7. Bunker 7 was a concrete monster built into a hillside. 18 inches of reinforced concrete. Gun ports covering 3 directions. Designed to withstand direct artillery hits. 8 Germans inside. Reeves could see them through the firing slits. His plan was simple and insane. Williams would provide suppressing fire. Bradford would throw smoke grenades, taken from dead Germans, to cover their approach. Chen would breach the door with a satchel charge they'd improvise from captured German stick grenades. Reeves would go in first. They moved into position as the eastern sky started to lighten. Dawn was coming. The darkness that had protected them all night was disappearing. On my mark, Reeves whispered. Williams opened fire. The bar hammered the bunker's gun ports, forcing the German defenders back from their weapons. Bradford threw smoke. Gray clouds erupted across the hillside. Chen ran forward, a bundle of 6 German stick grenades wrapped together with wire. He jammed them against the bunker door, yanked all the pull cords simultaneously, and ran. The explosion was massive. The steel door blew inward. Concrete chunks flew everywhere. Reeves went through the smoke and fire before it cleared. The last stand inside. The interior of Bunker 7 was chaos. German soldiers were down, dazed from the blast. Reeves shot the first one he saw. Point blank. Then the second. Then the third. Williams came through behind him, the bar roaring in the confined space. Chen was right behind Williams, pistol up, firing at anything that moved. Bradford covered the door, preventing German reinforcements from entering. It lasted 9 seconds. 9 seconds of brutal close-quarters killing. No mercy. No hesitation. Just survival. When it was over, 8 Germans were dead. Reeves' team controlled Bunker 7. And outside, 20 German soldiers were surrounding the position, preparing to take it back. The radio call that saved them. Reeves found the bunker's radio. German equipment, but the Americans had German-speaking translators at every command post. He keyed the microphone. Broadcast on the American artillery frequency he'd memorized during briefing. Thunder 6, this is Easy 2-2. Fire mission. Bunker complex. Coordinates as follows. He read off the position from the German map. Not Bunker 7. The bunkers surrounding Bunker 7. Easy 2-2, Thunder 6. Confirm coordinates. You're calling fire danger close to your position. Confirmed, Thunder 6. We're in German bunker. Need immediate fire support. Every bunker except these coordinates. A pause. Then, Easy 2-2, you magnificent bastard. Fire mission confirmed. Rounds outbound in 90 seconds. Reeves looked at his men. Get to the lowest level. Cover your ears. This is gonna be loud. They made it to the bunker's ammunition storage room, thick concrete on all sides, when the first shells hit. The artillery that ended it. American 155mm howitzers. 12 guns firing for effect. The Hurtgen forest exploded. Shells rained down on the German positions surrounding Bunker 7. High-explosive rounds designed to destroy fortifications. The bunkers Voss had thought were impregnable shattered under the bombardment. Concrete walls cracked. Steel reinforcements bent. Men died in darkness and fire. Voss himself survived the first salvo. Crawled from the wreckage of Bunker 3, his uniform shredded, his ears bleeding. He saw Bunker 7 still standing through the smoke. Saw the American flag, someone's undershirt tied to a rifle, flying from its gun port. For American soldiers. For men had destroyed his entire defensive network. Voss almost smiled. It was the kind of crazy, brilliant tactical move he would have attempted himself. Almost. He ordered his survivors to withdraw. 22 men had entered the forest. 11 walked out. The return. 2 hours later, American infantry from the 4th Division moved through the gap Reeves had created. They found Bunker 7 still held by 4 soldiers. 3 of them were wounded. All of them were alive. A captain from the 4th climbed through the bunker entrance, looked at the carnage, looked at Reeves. "Sergeant, what the hell happened here?" Reeves was sitting against a wall, field dressing a shrapnel wound on Chen's shoulder. Williams was unconscious, concussion from the artillery, but stable. Bradford was fine. Shaking. But fine. "Hit a mine," Reeves said. "Got separated from our patrol. Decided to make it worth the trip." The captain looked around at the dead Germans, the captured equipment, the maps and documents scattered everywhere. "You 4 did this? Alone?" "Yes, sir." The captain shook his head. "You're either the luckiest son of a bitch I've ever met, or the craziest." Reeves thought about the mine that didn't explode. The radio that worked just long enough. The German sergeant who carried the map that saved their lives. "Maybe both, sir." Epilogue, The Ghost Line. Staff Sergeant Danny Reeves received the Distinguished Service Cross for actions in Hurtgen Forest, December 3-4 Continue 11:31, 1944. Corporal Mike Chen received the Silver Star. Private First Class Marcus Williams received the Silver Star. Private First Class Tommy Bradford received the Silver Star. The bunker complex they captured became known as the Ghost Line among German forces in the sector, a defensive position that American forces somehow captured from the inside out. Reeves never told the full story. Not to reporters. Not to historians. Not even to his family after the war. Some things, he figured, were better left in the dark forests of Germany where they happened. But on quiet nights, when he couldn't sleep, he'd remember standing on that mine. Hearing the click. Knowing he was dead. And he'd remember lifting his boot, expecting the end. Sometimes the mine doesn't explode. Sometimes you get lucky. And sometimes, when you're alone in the dark with impossible odds and no way out, you find out what you're really made of. That's war. That's survival. That's what heroes never talk about when the cameras are rolling. The Ghost Line held until the end of the war. Nobody ever asked how 4 men took a bunker complex designed to stop a division. Reeves preferred it that way.